Questions jealous people ask. Most people think jealousy is obvious. They imagine raised voices, angry faces, open insults. But jealousy rarely announces itself that way. Real jealousy hides behind curiosity, behind concern, behind innocent questions. And if you don't recognize it early, it doesn't just drain your energy, it slowly rewrites how you see yourself. The Stoics warned about this long before modern psychology gave it a name. They understood that the most dangerous threats don't attack directly. They probe, they test, they ask. Today, you will learn the 7 questions jealous people ask, how these questions work on your mind, and how to recognize the signs of jealousy before it's too late. This is not about paranoia. This is about awareness. Because once you understand the psychology behind these questions, you stop reacting and start seeing clearly. And clarity is power. Question 1. Why are you suddenly doing so well? At first, this question sounds harmless, even supportive. But pay attention to the tone. It's rarely admiration, it's disbelief. Jealous people struggle most when others grow without their permission. Your progress disrupts the story they tell themselves about the world and about you. This question isn't curiosity, it's a quiet attempt to make your success feel suspicious, accidental, or temporary. The psychology here is simple but dangerous. When someone asks this, they are unconsciously saying, "I didn't expect you to surpass me." Instead of celebrating your growth, they search for an explanation that diminishes it. This is one of the earliest jealous people questions because it reveals internal comparison. They are measuring themselves against you and losing. The signs of jealousy here include surprise instead of encouragement, a subtle shift in respect, curiosity mixed with discomfort. Stoic insight teaches us this. Never explain your progress to someone committed to misunderstanding it. The moment you over-justify your success, you give them power over your confidence. Question 2. Who's helping you? This question sounds logical. After all, nobody succeeds alone. But listen closely. The subtext matters more than the words. Jealous people ask this to reduce your achievement. If someone else helped you, then maybe it wasn't really you. This is classic manipulative behavior disguised as realism. Instead of seeing your discipline, your consistency, your sacrifices, they look for a shortcut explanation. Psychology shows that people who feel threatened often externalize success. They assume others rise because of luck, connections, or favors, never effort. This protects their ego. This question also serves another purpose. It gathers information. Jealous people don't just feel envy, they collect data. They want to know your support system, your advantages, your weaknesses. That's why this question appears frequently in toxic dynamics involving relationships, trust, and envy. The Stoics believed that not everyone deserves access to your process. Some people only want the map so they can criticize the journey. Question 3. Do you really think this will last? This is one of the most damaging questions because it plants doubt. Even confident people feel a flicker of uncertainty when they hear it. That's the goal. Jealous people fear permanence. If your success lasts, it means their excuses collapse, so they introduce impermanence into your mind. This question is not about concern, it's about destabilization. Psychology calls this suggestive doubt, a subtle technique used in manipulative behavior to weaken confidence without direct confrontation. This is one of the most overlooked jealous people questions, yet one of the most powerful. You'll often hear it when you're gaining momentum, a new opportunity, a healthier lifestyle, a stronger sense of self. The signs of jealousy here include passive pessimism, fake realism, predicting your failure before it happens. Stoicism teaches us that outcomes are not ours to defend, only effort is. When you stop arguing with doubt, doubt loses its grip. Question 4. Why are you acting different lately? This question is almost always asked when you stop tolerating disrespect. Growth changes boundaries, and boundaries expose jealousy. When you improve, you speak less, tolerate less, and value your time more. To jealous people, this feels like rejection, so they frame your evolution as a flaw. This question attempts to pull you back into your old role, the version of you that felt safe to them. Psychology explains this as identity resistance. People who benefit from your old self will resist your new one. This question often appears in close relationships, making relationships, trust, and envy especially complex. The signs of jealousy include guilt-based language, accusations of arrogance, nostalgia for who you used to be. Stoic wisdom reminds us growth will cost you access to people who preferred your weakness, and that cost is worth paying. Question 5. Don't you think you're overdoing it? This question targets your discipline. Jealous people struggle with consistency, so your consistency becomes threatening. Instead of asking how you stay focused, they frame your effort as excessive. This is psychological projection. They feel uncomfortable with their own inaction, so they attempt to make your action seem unhealthy. This question is common when you work consistently, set non-negotiable routines, prioritize long-term goals. It is one of the most common jealous people questions because discipline exposes excuses. Psychology shows that when people feel inferior, they often attack the standard rather than rise to meet it. This is a quiet form of manipulative behavior, discouraging growth under the disguise of concern. The Stoics believed moderation applies to emotion, not excellence. Never shrink your effort to make others comfortable with their stagnation. Question 6. What if you fail? This question pretends to protect you, but it actually protects them. Failure doesn't scare jealous people. Your courage does. By focusing on failure, they redirect attention away from your bravery and toward hypothetical embarrassment. This question works by hijacking your imagination. Psychology tells us that imagined fear often feels as real as actual danger. That's why this question is effective. It invites you to rehearse defeat instead of progress. The signs of jealousy include emphasis on worst-case scenarios, repeated reminders of risk, silence when things go well. Stoicism teaches us that fear is not removed by certainty, but by acceptance. Once you accept failure as possible, it loses its power to control you. Question 7. Do you think you're better than everyone now? This is the final and most revealing question. It exposes resentment. Jealous people equate self-respect with arrogance because they lack it themselves. This question attempts to shame confidence. It forces you into a false choice: stay small and accepted, or grow and be judged. This is deeply tied to relationships, trust, and envy because it often comes from people close to you. Psychology explains this as status threat. When hierarchy shifts, insecurity surfaces. This question is not about equality, it's about control. The Stoics warned against seeking approval from those who resent your growth. Self-respect does not require comparison, and confidence does not need permission. The pattern you must see. When you step back, a pattern emerges. Jealous people don't attack your success directly. They question it, they frame it, they probe it. These jealous people questions follow the same structure: undermine, doubt, reframe, control. Understanding this pattern is one of the most powerful psychology tips you can learn, because once you see it, you stop explaining yourself. And when explanation ends, manipulation loses oxygen. Why this matters more than you think. Unchecked jealousy doesn't just damage relationships, it damages self-perception. Over time, repeated exposure to these questions can lower confidence, increase self-doubt, and normalize shrinking yourself. Psychology confirms that social environments shape identity. That's why recognizing signs of jealousy early is not optional, it's protective. This is not about cutting people off impulsively, it's about choosing awareness over naivety. Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from aligning with truth, not approval. How to respond without confrontation. You don't need to defend, you don't need to explain, you don't need to convince. The strongest response is calm neutrality. Short answers, no emotional charge, no oversharing. This deprives manipulative behavior of fuel. Psychology shows that manipulators disengage when they stop receiving reactions. Silence, clarity, and consistency are boundaries without drama. Not everyone who questions you is curious. Not everyone who smiles supports you. Not everyone who knows you deserves access to you. Growth reveals, and revelation is uncomfortable for those committed to comparison. The goal is not to be understood by everyone. The goal is to become unshakable. Recognize the questions, see the pattern, protect your mind, because the moment you stop reacting, you win.